Hi everyone, I'm Lisa and welcome to Lisa's Stamp Studio. I got a lot of you asking about my studio stamps in the mail, so I'm going to take a quick minute here and explain it to you before we get over to the table and start on today's project. But every month I offer studio stamps in the mail. It's an opportunity for you to stamp with me, but not with me. So what I do is I prepare 8 cards, 2 each of 4 different designs. I include a stamp set and I pre-cut everything, pre-die, include embellishments, envelopes. Of course, there's a PDF tutorial with pictures, and you stamp and assemble at home. Now, you will need some basic stamping supplies, and you can find the information of what you need over on my blog under the online classes tab. But since many of you are asking, I decided to give you a sneak peek at what's coming up for February. The last day to order this is February 4th, so there's not much time. February is not only going to include the Party Wishes stamp set, it's also going to include the Party Punch Pack. That's a mouthful, but let me tell you what, this is fabulous. The cards that are included in my kit are exclusive. You won't see them somewhere else, and I'm going to give you a quick look at these. So here's one, and here's another, and that has a window on it. Check that out. I want to make sure I point that out to you. Isn't that fun? And this one. And finally, this one. So you'll get pre-cut pieces for 8 cards, 2 of each of one of those. And of course, you're gonna get all these goodies that go along with it so that you can make more at home. So without further ado, I'm gonna show you what we're making today. And it's something for the guys finally. And it's this card with a fun breakaway front on it using the brand new Going Global stamp set. I'm gonna teach you a fun variegated technique. So let's head over to the stamp table and let's get started. Here's a close-up of the card we're going to be creating today, and here's that fun fold I was telling you about in the beginning. I've cut away a little bit here just to reveal a little bit of a background. I'm going to show you how to do that. We're going to start with some supplies. This is a half a sheet of very vanilla cardstock, and this measures 5.5 by 8.5. This is basic black cardstock measuring 1 by 5.5. And then I'm using 2 pieces from the Going Places Designer Series paper stack. Now, this is in the Occasions catalog, and I am loving the designs. Really fun and definitely something for the guys, and even if you like some of those vintage architectural designs, this has really been a fun paper stack, and you can't beat the price. This piece is cut 2 inches by 4 inches. And this piece I cut 3.5 by 5.5. I also cut myself a piece of gold baker's twine, and this measures, about 6 inches. We're going to begin by using the bone folder, and we're going to fold our cardstock in half. I love my bone folder. It gives me that nice crisp crease. The very first thing I'm going to do is cut away a 1-inch piece on the front of this card. I've got my paper trimmer here. Remember, the light blade is for scoring, and the dark blade is for cutting. So I'm going to use the dark one, and I'm going to put my paper in. And I'm going to give you a little tip. You see right here, this is the 1-inch mark, and it's so much easier to cut this way than to cut backwards this way. I just find I have more paper to hold, and it just makes my life a lot easier. So I'm going to line this up. My paper's all the way up against the top where it's straight, and I'm just going to slice off that 1 inch. Now this we can discard or use it for a scrap. So remember this piece of 1 inch by 5.5 inch basic black cardstock. We are going to use the Confetti Stars punch. Now you're going to notice this is so small, this is going to be kind of hard to maneuver. So we're going to flip this over, and we're going to place the paper in here. Now it might be difficult to see on the camera, but I can actually pull it and see that I don't have paper filling all the stars. So I kind of know where to start. And then I'm going to squeeze. Now I'm going to tell you, this punch has a lot of power behind it because it's cutting out a whole bunch of stars. So you may find that it's easier for you to lay it down on the table and then give it a punch. And then I'm going to slide this over, and this is not a symmetrical design, so as long as I know I'm not punching another one, I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to punch again, and I'm going to do it one more time. Now all these little stars, don't throw those away because I love putting them inside my card for card confetti. That's really fun. So we've ended up with a random strip of stars. This is going to go right inside the card, which is actually the inside of the card, so that when we close this, we're going to have a little bit of a border. Now the easiest way to do this is going to be using the craft mat. And if you've watched my videos before, you know I'm a big fan of this because adhesive will not stick to it. So if you prefer to use snail adhesive, you can do so, and it's going to omit the areas that touch the mat. But today I want to try it with the two-way glue pen, and I think this is a little bit more forgiving simply because we don't have to worry about any stragglers of the adhesive inside those holes. So we're going to pull this off. Now it looks blue when it goes on, but it dries clear, and that's just so that you can see where you've got it. And as long as we adhere it before it dries, we're going to be good to go. It's called two-way simply because if you let it dry completely, it becomes like a tacky type of glue and it's repositionable. I'm going to turn my card sideways just so I can see what I'm doing. I think I'm going to go this way. And I'm going to line this up right along the edge of the inside of the card. So there we go. So now we've got that little border. This is the piece of designer series paper that we cut earlier. I'm going to go ahead and put some adhesive on the back. And this is going to go on the entire front of the card. Now look at that. I have to show you. Look, I've got the wrong measurements. So this is obviously 3 1/4 and not 3 1/2. So you're probably thinking, oh, Lisa, what are you going to do? Well, I'm thrilled that I made a mistake, so I can show you how I fix it. There's two ways. We can put this right back in the paper trimmer, which is what I would typically do. But so a lot of you tell me that you're not comfortable with that. So get out a pair of scissors. Use the open edge of the cardstock as a guide to cut away what you don't need, and you're going to find that it's really nice and straight. So now this is what we've got. The small piece of designer paper we're going to use with the ornate tag topper punch, and that's going to slide right up onto our track. Love this because our tag topper punches will create a tag instantly just by pressing down. Isn't that neat? Nice and fast. On my original card, I actually used the baker's twine along with a piece of gold cording, and doesn't it figure that that was actually retired out of the holiday catalog? It did not get carried over. I'm going to eliminate the gold cording and just use the baker's twine. Easiest way, fold your baker's twine in half. So the loop is going to go through the front of your tag. You're going to pull it through, you're going to open up the loop, and you're going to take the raw ends and slip them inside and then just pull. Now you never want to pull too tightly because you don't want to rip that hole. And then I'm going to give my ends a little bit of a haircut just so that they're not frayed and they look a little bit more finished. Now comes the fun part. It's going to be the stamping. I'm going to use a piece of very vanilla cardstock. This is just a scrap. And I'm going to use the images from the Going Global stamp set. I love the set because it's very versatile and it's something for the guys. We're going to start with the delightful Dijon ink pad. And I'm also going to bring out the early espresso ink pad. So we're going to start with the delightful Dijon ink. Okay, I'm going to use a piece of grid paper underneath me just to kind of contain the ink. I found that the delightful Dijon ink, which is the color I'm going to use as my base, is a little bit dark. So I'm going to ink it up and I'm going to stamp off on the grid sheet, leaving a lighter shade on the stamp. The dauber then is going to go inside the darker ink, and I'm going to tap off just a little so it's not too dark, and then I am just going to randomly place color on the stamp that already has ink on it. Important to huff on it. That remoistens the ink, and then we are going to press. No two of these are ever going to look alike, but here's what I like. You get a little bit of variation of color so it looks more variegated. I'm also going to use the basic black ink pad, and also part of that stamp set come the words, I thank my lucky stars for you, and I'm going to ink that up, and I'm also going to put that next to it on my scratch paper. I thought that this was a little stark. So I did the exact same thing I did in the first time. I'm going to ink it up in the Dijon. I'm going to stamp off. And I am actually going to stamp a little bit right over those words to give it a little bit of a background. We're going to punch them out. This is the 2-inch circle punch. And that really punches this out beautifully. You don't have to worry about a rim around it at all. Look, you can see I turned my paper over at one time. I had an oops on the other side. Yep, 2 sides to every paper. You gotta love that. And then the 1-inch circle punch is gonna do my words perfectly. So I'm gonna use some dimensionals. I'm gonna put them on the back of my tag. I like to do 4 corners only because my mom, who's the recipient of most of my cards, and of course one in the center, tells me that when she gets them that sometimes they sag if these puffy things are not even. So thanks, Mom. I now center them and add a couple more, and it makes her really happy. So I'm going to add that here to the front of my card. I like an angle. You can do whatever you like. I'm going to take a couple more, and I'm going to put them on the back. See my oops side? Gotta love that there's 2 sides to every piece of paper. That's how I knew it was too dark, full strength. And then I'm going to put my globe hanging a little bit off over here. Then I'll use one more dimensional on the back of my words, so I can layer this here on my card. And I think I'll just put it down here. Okay, now it's great the way it is, but you know me, I like sparkle, and I even think a guy's card can include some sparkle. So if you like it, I'm going to show you what I did. Here's the original. You see the sequence? Here, there's even a star that I layered a regular sequin over. This is the metallic sequin assortments. This wonderful pickup tool is not sold by Stampin' Up. Oh, we're trying, so hang in there. It's actually made by Silhouette, and it's called Pick Me Up, and it's got kind of a tacky end on it. Great for small things that are hard to get with your fingers. So I chose 2 gold ones. So here's one, and then here's another, and then I chose a gold star. The great thing is the assortment gives you lots of opportunities to use different shapes and different colors for different cards. So this is a great buy for the few dollars that it costs. Next step was the fine tip glue. Going to give you a tip about this. When you first get it, it's very important that you unscrew the black portion and you take off the paper seal, just like you would with a mayonnaise bottle. That's sealed for your protection, and then tighten it back up. This is where the glue comes from. So you're going to unscrew this. I'm going to give you a warning. It's really a tiny, tiny tip, and you do not really have to squeeze it. It flows very well. So I'm going to pick up my sequin. I'm going to put a small dab. Look, I've got a small clear sequin here I don't want from that collection. Place my sequin right on top. I'm going to repeat this with the other few. So this one, same thing. I think I'm going to put it here. One of the questions I get asked a lot is, how do you know where to put the sequence? Well, you know, it's really a matter of taste. I like odd numbers, and I like to work kind of in a triangle pattern. So I find that just is more interest to the card. Is it right or wrong, however you do it? Absolutely not. It's just all a matter of taste. Now you're going to remember on this card, I added another sequence. All I did was take one of these and it straight to the top of this just to create a different look, and you can do that any way you wish. To close this, put your finger next to the tip, and then the pin in the lid goes straight down inside, and twist it and turn, and it closes your ink. Love the pin because it doesn't clog up the glue. So here's today's card, and here's the original. Again, this technique, no 2 are going to look alike, but it's easy and yet still really impressive. I'm so glad that you joined me today, and I look forward to seeing you next week for another video. Have a great day, everyone.